Hello, I'm Stephen Cooley and welcome to Stephen Cooley Real Estate Show. And once again, I have Julie Storm on the show with me. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here, Steve.
Thank you. One thing I wanted to do today, which I'm really excited about, is talk about the different elevations on houses, because you see these homes advertised and they say ranch or they say colonial and things like that, and the public really doesn't know, Julie, what that means.
Right.
Most of us realtors do, and of course architects and things like that do. So I just wanted to kind of go through the 10 most seen in our area. And there's actually about 40 or 50 exteriors on houses. But I want to go through the top 10 in our area just so people kind of know what they are. And so the first one we're going to start with, which is the most seen now in new neighborhoods, and it's actually called New American. And the New American's been built since 1980 up until the present. It's got a mixed use front. So if you think about some of these new neighborhoods that have stone, cedar shakes, hardy plank, a mixed use front, this plan is very popular today. And it's actually called a New American plan. It's very open on the inside. It's very, a lot of green homes that are built green and green friendly are New American style homes. And it just really has that mixed use front. You'll have 4 or 5 different types of exteriors on the house.
Lovely.
I know, absolutely. The second one's the Craftsman, and we're seeing a ton of these homes today. The Craftsman was originally built in the 1930s.
Kind of Frank Lloyd Wright look.
Exactly. And if you look around colleges, and if you ever go up to Charlotte, the Dilworth area, you see a ton of Craftsmans, and you also see this plan now built in some of our neighborhoods like Riverwalk, Baxter. The Craftsman shows and they're just for aesthetic looks, but if you look at the eaves on a Craftsman, it shows the rafters and things like that. And again, those are just for cosmetic reasons, but you actually see into the rafters on a Craftsman. Very popular today. They all have front porches, and a lot of these neighborhoods are big into front porches now. So very interesting. The next one's a Georgian, and you see a lot of variations of this in some of our older neighborhoods. It was built in England during the 3 different King Georges, and that's why it's called a Georgian. It gets a lot of house for the money. It has big curb appeal. If you go back into neighborhoods that were really big in the 60s and 70s and 80s, you see a ton of Georgians in there. The lines are clean, they're neat, not a lot of roof. It's a gabled roof, not a hip roof. You also see some of these with front porches on them now. Some of these porches have been added later, but tons of these in older neighborhoods, 4 and 5 and 6,000 square foot homes.
Yeah, around Winthrop, there's a good many of them.
Absolutely, and in Rock Hill, you see these in Fairlawn, you see them in Heathwood, you see them in some different neighborhoods like that. The next one's the Victorian. The Victorian's really fun. It was built and named after Queen Victoria of England. One of the most favorite homes that you see, that's the Victorian, and also the Queen Anne we'll talk about next, and they call it the Painted Lady, and the Painted Lady has 7 colors on her. And you see some of these, you don't see these built today, but you see some of these in Old Rock Hill, Old Fort Mill, Old York, Chester. And if you do the 7 colors, it's called a Painted Lady. Tons of these in San Francisco, which is where originally they got it. And you also see kind of its sister plan that picked up later, right after the Victorian, and that's the Queen Anne. And I always call this the gingerbread houses. And they've really got a lot of detailed woodwork on the outside of them. They're sprawling, they look great from the road. As you can see in this picture, it has a dining area on the outside of the home, kind of like a gazebo, tons of porches on the Queen Anne, but also if you ride through our area, York County, Charlotte, you'll see these in some of the older neighborhoods.
I think I've seen some of these out on the lake too.
Absolutely, and they'll still build them today. And the next one you just really see all over the South, and it's called the Plantation look. And you even see it in new homes today, but it has the big 2-story front porch. It's got the huge columns. They were originally built after the Louisiana Purchase and on plantations in the South. They housed a lot of people, and they were typically built on 100 to 1,000 acres. Think of Tara
Right.
They lived in a plantation home. And so you see these all across the South, and you still see these sometimes built new in big neighborhoods.
That's a statement home there.
That is a statement, and people had new money, plantation money, and they wanted to show that they had money. And the only way to show it back then, it was prior to cars, the only way to show it was with a big house. So the Cape Cod's one of America's favorite homes. And it was built originally in the New England area along the coast. And it started out as bungalows, and when timber really became easy to access and to mass produce, they went up higher and made two-story homes. It's also very popular in the New England area because snow will slide off the house. And if you have a flat roof where there's a ton of snow, you could have a cave-in or something like that, or damage to the house. So Cape Cod has an extremely steep roof. It's always a story and a half. You see them built today. People love them, and it's really an enjoyable home.
The home I grew up in was Cape Cod.
Oh, wow, cool. The next is a ranch, and all ranches, you think ranch and you think of a horse farm or something, but ranch means one level.
Okay.
And one level is very appealing to people. A lot of people don't want stairs. Ranches take up a lot of land mass because they don't go up, they go out. And so ranches have very few steps inside of them or on the outside. Older people who don't want to climb steps are very popular to ranches. And a lot of people who've had two-story homes now want a ranch and just have everything on one level. So when you see ranch, that means one level house.
I live in Fort Mill, and I'm starting to see there's some new neighborhoods coming in, and it looks like they're
Absolutely.
reverting to some ranch homes.
Right. The Tudor home, named after the Tudors, which would have been Henry VIII and his daughters when they ruled England, were very popular, and they built a village for Anne Boleyn, his second wife, and it was called the Tudor style, and it has the mixed stucco and wood timbers inside the stucco. I found that, again, this was built in neighborhoods, in big neighborhoods back in the 80s and 90s. People either love them or hate them. They have a lot of, again, stucco on the front, wood timbers inside the stucco. If you go up to the mountains, you see a lot of this look also, and little villages and things like that were a repeat of that. The last one I wanted to talk about was it's called a French chalet, and really, truly, it is what I called old world, and it became ultra popular from about 2002 up to about 2008 before the market crashed, and I called them the castle look, the old world look, dark inside, big Gothic chandeliers, dark cabinets, and you really see a lot of neighborhoods. I'm just thinking of one in Fort Mill off Gold Hill Road, Eppington South. The homes are drop dead gorgeous, and we see this throughout our area. They're always big. They are really interesting homes, and you ride around town and you see big versions of this being built even today. But I call it the castle look, the old world look. But those are the 10 most common we see around here. And now with a lot of architects and a lot of architecture designs, what you'll see is someone just combining a lot of these into one house. And you'll see pieces, you can look and say, well, I see pieces of a French chalet, I see pieces of a bungalow all in one house. Because everybody with the mass building now, everybody's trying to build something different.
Right.
So they're mixing these all together.
Well, it makes it interesting. I think I love all the different windows and pitches on the roofs and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
It makes it attractive.
And a lot of these, Julie, are cost-based too. Some of these are very expensive to build. If you've got one roof line like the Georgian, you get a huge home because it's really a box. But when you get into the French chalet, it's got like 9, 10 roof pitches, and they become very interesting but very expensive to frame and build.
Well, this is interesting stuff because, when you read the descriptions in the real estate magazines and online and stuff, it's sort of like, well, what does that mean?
Well, thank you for joining me today to talk about these 10 most common exteriors on homes. There are actually many more, but these were the most common in our area. And we've got beautiful homes on today's show, and you'll see some of these plans throughout the homes we have for sale. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back. I hope you've enjoyed watching the Stephen Cooley Real Estate Show. If you're interested in advertising your business on the program, please give us a call at 803-326-2777. Join us next week for more discussions on real estate topics and help in finding your perfect home. Thanks for watching.